I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First of all, we want to thank everyone for coming this evening. Our first order of business tonight is to approve, we have two sets of minutes. The first being our February 23rd regular meeting. These minutes are in front of you.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. And then the second set of minutes is the executive session meeting that was held on March the 3rd.
I'll make a motion to accept that as well.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. All right, we'll move on to the reports, Andy.
All right, water plant's treated 589,390 gallons of water since February 23rd. Our average daily usage is 42,099. Filters were back up today. Our March back T-test is complete. We installed one new meter setting. I'm going to be attending the Alliance of Indiana Rural Water Spring Conference next week during my continuing education units. Under wastewater, been performing daily checks at the lift station, the ponds, and the SSO during rain events. Sewer plant's open and we are discharging. Our weekly sewer samples are complete. I'm waiting on one more bid for surface restoration at the wastewater plant, but the other work's moving forward. And I talked to him tonight before the meeting. I thought I was going to have it, but he's going to get it to us tomorrow. Under streets, we're going to be working with Arcadia again on street repair, and we will be working on it probably here in the next couple of weeks to get our repairs taken care of. We had some vandalism at the ballpark, and I think one of the things we might want to look at here sometime is fencing that lot off. We're getting all kinds of people driving trucks all over the thing, tearing it up, and then they have destroyed every dugout we got out there now. So we're going to have to do something out there. Then I still been.
Did he get a camera?
Now we're probably gonna have to look at doing something like that at some point here. But they've been mudding in the grass out there and everything else. Then I've still been monitoring the camera at the post office, and there's been nothing unusual on that. Then under building, we had 2 building inspections, 4 electrical inspections, 1 building permit inquiry, 1 zoning inquiry, and then the February census report's been completed and submitted. If you don't have any questions, that's all I've got.
Where are we on the cameras for the park?
When we get this project done here, we're going over there to do some other stuff at the park. We've got to make it in the building, so. Here next couple weeks.
One's for one, one's for the other. One's for
Yeah, I know.
Kurt,
Everybody's
one's
now
for
telling me
Andy.
about it. The thing that amazes me is people watch them do it. They can't call the police. I mean, all they do is write that number down and call the police. Nobody does it. Or everybody comes to me 2 or 3 days after something happened in the park to tell me about it because I'm the police department. So.
Gotta write down the plate and report it.
Or just calling the police right there. I keep trying to tell everybody that lives around the park and sees something. I'm like, call the police. It's the best thing you can do. They'll come right out.
Yeah.
Catch them and deal with it right there.
Code enforcement, Murray's not here. Nothing to report there. We'll move on to old business. Amy, come this evening. We'll give you
Well-
the floor at this point.
I really want to talk to you guys about your water project. I know you guys have one that's coming up. Didn't know if you were interested in pursuing additional Okra grant funds. We have the one Okra grant for your wastewater. You're allowed to have 3 open now. So you have a couple slots that you can still apply for these funds. If you are interested, we have some deadlines for coming up very, very quick, and that's why I wanted to come tonight. I met with Andy a couple months ago and talked to him about the water project, and
Well, you know, Steve Brock called today. He was gonna be here, but he had to attend another meeting. He said if you want, he'll come to the next council meeting, or if you want a special meeting, day or evening, he'll do that also. But he had to change his plans tonight. But what Steve was telling me is we will have a higher chance of getting more money. I mean, getting us closer to 95 to 100% range. He thinks if we go after this, because the grant that Amy's talking about, the scale has changed, and with our low to moderate income and our rates where they are, we're eligible for $700,000. And Steve's plan is to get that or close to, try to get that or close to that, you know, 600,000 mark out of SRF, which would bring it up to $1.3 million.
yeah, I think you were talking about $1.3 million project.
Any local matches with those?
It just
It's
depends
a
on.
20% match, but I mean, if you're talking, you have a $1.3 million project, from Okra, all you're gonna get is $700,000. So whatever the balance is, that's what your match is gonna be for the Okra grant. And if that comes from SRF, that's, just like the wastewater project, that's an eligible
Well, but
match.
SRS they have that water grant program too. That's what Steve was talking to them about applying for. Because we score so high in it and very few people.
Yeah, you won't
Very
know
good
if you get the SRF grant until you've applied for Okra, you've designed your project, you've bid your project, and you're starting to go close your loan. At that point, you'll know if SRF is gonna contribute any additional grant dollars. We won't know up front. They just won't tell you. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay. So, going into a project, you don't know if they're gonna fund it or not until you go to loan closing that day. And what if they don't do it? So, your best shot of trying to get any kind of money, for sure, is going through Okra. You know you're gonna get $700,000 at least from them.
Yeah, but Kempton got the money given to them before they closed on theirs. I was there when he got the phone call.
We had already bid the project.
Yeah.
We were getting ready to close the loan, and the state came in and put a halt to it and said, we want you to take it to Tipton
Right,
if you want the money.
right,
We were ready to build our own plan.
right. I knew that.
So we had to redesign, but we didn't know up front. Going into the program, we didn't know up front if they were going to actually contribute or not. So, they won't tell you up front if they're gonna give it to you or not.
Is there a reason for that, or I mean, is it just to,
I don't
for
know.
them to?
Well,
Because they can.
No, yeah, there's
I'm in the
different
chat.
theories on it. I mean, we've seen it, you know, where they talk
Yeah.
about, and it's, well, your project priority listing,
Yeah.
project ready.
All right.
We've had bigger customers come in and gobble the money up.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, but
I was thinking.
They
it's
only
kinda-
have so much money. And
They do $2 million. Steve explained to me they do $2 million a year on the water grant, which they didn't grant any of it last year.
They did to Kempton,
No water.
or water.
They have a water-only program that almost nobody meets the requirements for.
Right, we know.
Because the threshold's so high, but we meet the requirements.
Right, but we don't know, that's the whole thing, they don't tell you until closing. This happened in, town of Walton, where we were at, same thing, we were applying for a grant, and then they came in, you know, last minute deal and said, hey, we got 2-point-something million, up a $3-some million project. That's,
But going into this, we don't know for sure. So, I mean, we could try our best to get that for you in addition to the Okra grant. But you just don't know, which is very frustrating to me.
sure.
But if you're interested in the Okra grant, there's a letter of intent that's due on April 8th. You can do it before April 8th, but the deadline is April 8th at 4 o'clock. You have to have a public hearing before that date. So, and that's why the whole time crunch right here. If we wanna do a hearing, you could do one at your next council meeting, but we have that 10-day publication period, which means we need to get some on the paper this week.
they said 100,000 to Oak Ridge.
Yes, and when I met with Andy a couple months ago, they hadn't published the new rates yet, so I think at that time it was like 600,000. But within the last month, they've published new thresholds, and based on what your rates are and what your LMI, and if you're over $1 million, you get 700,000. If you're under $1 million, it's 600,000. So
What's the match on this grant?
it's 20%.
20%.
minimum. But again, if you're looking at 1.3, you've succeeded that 20%. And in talking to Andy about some of the issues you have in town with main breaks and water boil orders and some of the water quality issues, I think you would have a competitive project. Kind of like the wastewater, it's not, if you're fundable, I think it's just a matter of time of when you could get funded. You know how competitive the Okra program is. But if you submit April 8th, your letter of intent, the state will come out and do a site visit, hear about your project, explain the program, and final applications are due on June 10th, and awards on July 21st. If we do not get the grant in July, there is a second funding round, which the last couple of years, they've only done one funding round, and so if we didn't make the wastewater, we always had to wait for a whole another year before we could reapply. This year, they're implementing 2 funding rounds. So if we don't get it this round, you do have a fall round to fall back into. But I didn't want you guys to lose out on the first funding round if you guys wanted to pursue something. So I don't want to.
What kind of repairs would this be, or what kind of work?
It'd be replacing all the 3 and 4 inch water main, be looping some water mains. It would
There's some
also be,
hydrants, aren't there?
it would also be new fire hydrants, it would be some new valves, it would be a new line from the water plant to town. We only have one water main that feeds town.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is there anything at the plant, some equipment at the plant, or is it just,
It's all in
it's all distribution, not?
Yeah, it's all distribution system.
Given all the requirements needed to receive that grant, would first come, first serve? I mean, does that have a lot to do with it, or is it
No,
like the
it's-
money's all gone, so there's none left?
It's a competitive process. They base your application on, it's a scoring criteria. They base it on community distress points, which you're in Hamilton County, so those community distress points are kind of low. That's kind of what we were having a problem with on your wastewater project. But we would kind of spin the narratives, you know, just because you're in Hamilton County, you should not be penalized.
I thought
Because
they
you
were
have
changing that. They didn't change it?
No. Because you guys have 63.20% load mod. That's high. That's why you qualify for 700,000. That's the, you're in the top tier of getting the most grant assistance because you have such distressed people. There's a project description, you get so many points, you get so many points for a project need. So that's where we're talking about the water quality issues, you know, health and safety being on small mains, bad fire hydrants, you know, if you have a fire in town, could be an issue there. So it's a need, and then your financial impact. Your rates are so high that the buy down, what this grant's gonna do, you get so many points for that.
That was my next question.
And then you
about
get
rates.
points for the match. So whoever gets the most points gets the money until they run out of money.
Our rates would not be impacted in any way associated with this project. I mean, that's the only concern I have. I mean, obviously, we'd like to have the work done, but
I mean, if
I
you,
don't think we can
and that's where
stand
we're,
anymore.
what I think Steve Brock would advocate to SRF is, if you have a 1.3, Okra's gonna give you 700,000, there's a balance there. 400,000. What is the buy down to, that maybe SRF can give you some grant dollars to help buy down those rates, because they're already so high. But that's the unknown, we just don't know.
And that's the hard part, sitting here. You know,
Right,
obviously, we want these improvements, but we don't want to
right.
hit our citizens with any more increases on their utility bill.
Yeah, that's a big commitment, shooting in the dark like
Yeah.
that, you know?
I know it's a
From the
gamble.
town's point of view, anyway, you know.
me personally.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, in the next 5 to 10 years, you're gonna be doing it anyways.
Yeah, I know it's definitely, not, I mean, you know, it's,
Where were we at again on, what was it, when we had the last, the rate increase?
In 4 years.
And then it went for 4,000 gallons, where are you guys at right now?
On 4,000, 57.
I had 65.
Was it 65 on 4,000? Yeah. Now the book's over there. You got the latest.
When I looked up the wastewater application we put in, it was 65.
I'm looking at a rate book.
Okay.
My bill says 65.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's something you could do to
Is that,
bring down some of the total, take something out of the project to make it more affordable, just do the 20% match instead of, the 1.3.
I think we had, if SRF gives you, if it was all SRF, and they give you anything that would, I think we had that it would go down, and you'd be at 58.8. That's estimated post-project.
20% of 700,000 is 140,000. So you'd have to have at least 140,000 to get the 700,000. If that makes sense. So again, I just want to make sure you guys were aware of these dates. And if you wanted to have it on this first round. Everything that's needed for the application is basically done, except for writing it. I mean, the engineering report that's required for SRF, it's already been approved, been completed and approved by IDEM. There is no land acquisition that comes in the right of way, so it's not like you have to get easements or anything like that. Your income survey's already done, so.
so you just need to prove it comes to town board, basically.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's
Like I said, Steve said he'll come to the.
trying to get something in for June 10th is very feasible because you have everything already completed. A lot of communities that I'm talking to now, they're scrambling around trying to get a PER done real quick. If there's land acquisition, they're doing easements, so June 10th comes up pretty quick.
Yeah, if we could have Steve at the next meeting on the 22nd. Just to go over rates. He's the rate guy, if I understand correctly, right? Again, that's,
Something to keep in mind. If you guys do submit a letter of intent on April 8th, and you're just like uncomfortable with moving too fast or what the rates are gonna be, you can always withdraw that letter of intent and come back in at another time. But if you don't submit on April 8th, you're waiting until the second round.
when's the second round? They have 2 rounds this year?
Yes, the second round starts,
August.
let's see, August 19th, with a final application due on October 14th, and awards on December 1st.
Could you repeat that, Amy? I'm sorry. Could you repeat that,
Okay,
please?
letter of intent is due August 19th,
Okay.
with the final application due October 14th, and awards on December 1st.
Thank you.
But if we get in the first round, it's April 8th, June 10th, and awards on July 21st.
This is gonna sound like a silly question, maybe,
That's
but, do you foresee, with the next year, when there's, could be a new political change, could that in essence have an effect on the rates and things that we're talking about today? I don't really know who regulates all this money and rates and how much interest rate, I don't really understand the, behind the door scene on that,
what I could see changing is, it'll never go higher than 700,000 for you on Okra.
It's never been that high.
It has never
Ever.
been that high ever. So if anything, they
It'll
might reevaluate the program again and say, we're gonna bring it back down and we're gonna disperse more money to more communities.
Spread it out.
Yeah.
Instead of doing 700,000 in one community, we're gonna give them 400,000 and take that money and spread it around the state more. That might happen, I don't know. With the new lieutenant governor coming in, he might make a big shift. I don't know.
Well, it's something to think about,
Yeah.
because, you know, timing could be an important part of this, you know.
I'd like to have a meeting with Steve and go over the numbers and see exactly what this is and what it would increase our rates if we did this project, 'cause I know it's going to. I know we don't have enough in the operating rating funds that we had done, which has been about 4 years ago. And I'm sure that there'd be a rate increase involved with this, and I'd like to know exactly how much, and what our part's gonna be, what our loan portion's gonna be, how much it's gonna be, and how long it would work out, and what the interest rate would be that we'd be receiving any money, and whether we think that the size of the project is justified to
I don't know how this works. I really don't buy it
the
now.
amount of the rate and everything we'd have to raise the bill, water bills for the customers. You know, I do know that there is a lot of issues with some areas in town. You know, I've talked with Andy and I've been out on some of them with him, and I know
Christmas
I'm
Eve.
referring to. But, yeah, the big one, Christmas Eve, but, you know, I'm just a little leery, you know, we've been going project after project after project, and now we're getting caught up here. And, you know, I'd like to kind of take a breath and sit back and see but I wanna see what this is. I know there's a need for it. There's definitely a need for it, but I'd like to see what the cost is gonna be to the residents first. So I'd like to talk to Steve.
How old are our existing,
1968.
68?
But the problem is, part of our system with plastic from them, the technology isn't there. And the pipe is crushing. I mean, it's going oval, and it's brittle. Especially the bigger, it's only the 3 and 4, which is plastic. The 6, 8, 10 is concrete. Most of it's 6, concrete.
Also, you know, we wanted to move this along, so if there was a chance that we wanted to move forward with this and we wanted to meet that April deadline, I'm open for, you know, advertise a special meeting to meet with Steve. If, you know, if that's something that you guys wanna do, or else just wanna wait till next meeting, it's, you know, I'm open for either or. But I definitely wanna talk to Steve first.
Well, March the 22nd is our next scheduled meeting, 2 weeks from tonight. And what we'll do is,
I mean, you could always have a hearing, if you guys want to move forward, you don't have to have it at a council meeting. It just has to be before April 8th. And you have to have that 10-day notification period. So if you were looking at, you know,
28th, 29th, and the 10 days.
the 8th. Okay, say you meet on the 22nd. Get some numbers from Steve. We could put something in the paper by the 25th or 24th. I don't know what the paper's leeway time. Even still, you could put, by the end of that week, you could advertise for a hearing that first week in April. If you did something like on April 6th or April 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's 10 working days.
Let's see, the 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Calendar.
We would have to advertise at least by the 25th, 26th.
okay. Is that acceptable to everyone?
Yes, fine.
Yes.
That's what we'll plan on. We'll schedule that. Steve Rock, correct?
Yeah. meeting to give us some numbers.
Alrighty. Well, that's all I had.
Okay.
I didn't know if you guys were getting burnt out on projects. I just wanted-
It's not the
Right,
project,
not
it's
going-
the people
We don't
doing
want,
it.
we don't want any more background.
I don't want any
No.
more projects right now.
We like to have a project that goes smooth where they're supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we want.
You know better than that.
Hey, I had one.
They do happen.
I had one. I tell you what, down in Arcadia, I had the smoothest project. It worked well with the contractor. They did work for me, I did work for them, worked back and forth, very few change
You guys have
orders.
this one already.
Everything went like clockwork. The only thing was we ran into cold weather, got them before the paving was to be done, which was no big deal, just the agreement on everybody's part, to wait till spring plants opened up. Everything went great.
Yeah.
1 in a million maybe, but I had it down Arcadia.
Okay, well, you have any questions more for me, or? Okay,
Thanks bunch.
okay, you're welcome.
Right.
Honestly,
Stu, right?
No, Jim Rizal.
You must have some bad news for us.
Wrong answer.
Just kidding. No, I just picked up last of the bids to finish this up. I'll take this back and have an answer right first thing in the morning.
Great.
Get going.
Well, that's best.
Get this thing
Sweet.
buttoned up. Hopefully.
Right, appreciate that.
Wrap it up.
Yeah,
Okay,
get it done.
thank you.
Move on.
Move on to some more old business.
Be careful
See you
going
next.
home.
Melissa, do we have
Yes.
anything on the Kane property? Through the tax
You
sale?
should have the deed by now.
We have, it's ours.
Yes, you have the order
Yeah.
that ordered the deed, and if the
Rob's got it.
actual deed hasn't come, it's at the auditor's and
No,
they'll
she's
send it.
got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright,
On that sale, whatever.
cause I didn't have a copy of it, so it must have come straight to her.
Yep. Yeah, she got it.
Okay, good.
This is what when all us are. We got the line. 55.
Any other old business from the floor tonight?
So would they tear that down now, or burn it, or what?
Can't burn them anymore.
We'll have to tear it down. Yeah,
Accidental.
yeah,
We're staying on the way.
yeah.
Yes.
We'll have to demolish it at some point.
What about the one on the railroad?
I don't know.
Work on it.
I haven't heard any, don't have any more information on that.
Oh,
No,
the auditor hadn't heard
didn't-
anything either, huh?
I guess that was a question for Amy. Did she ever look into those grants for demos on these properties? What did she find on them?
She said they're pretty easy to get. I mean, we just need to get this wrapped up over here because, like I said, the thing Aaron sent me was just the one you guys used in Arcadia. So,
So the notification to the property owners and everything before
What
we
we
can
gotta
do the
do-
legal process to actually condemn that.
have to give them notification. Give them give them a hearing. Then they have 30 days to make all the repairs on it, or it's over.
And that's in foreclosure, right?
No,
No?
that's what's weird. There's not. It's just laying out there in limbo. Aaron's done the research on it. He said we were gonna notify him because I had called, Indiana Members Credit Union. And they had a lien on it at one time, but they don't now, and the sole owner is Nick.
So where are we at as far as notifying him then? We're moving forward.
Well, like I said, the thing I got from Aaron was just what you did in Arcadia. So I guess I need to get with him, or he needs to write some sort of a letter for Nick. Unless you guys want me to do it.
I'll follow up with Aaron.
Yeah, follow up with that. You
Yeah.
have to get better coming from him than,
Yeah.
you have him
No, I
to
know.
get whatever letter notification
yeah.
to that property owner
In fact,
so we can
I
move forward.
thought he had
it was
already done that.
I
Maybe he has. I haven't.
Okay.
spoken
I
to him
thought he
about
said
it.
he had already
Yeah.
done it, if I,
Yeah, I thought he did.
I don't know.
So if we're waiting on the, time period to wait for the notice,
That could be, I don't know.
I'll follow up, see
I
where
don't
we
know
are.
about it.
We need to find out where we're at so we can get that hearing set or whatever, so we
Because
can
what
move
Amy,
forward, because I
what
want
Amy
to
was saying, it would be
apply for a
better.
grant for both of them.
Exactly. That's what she was saying, that,
Apply for a grant to tear both houses down at the same time, we do it one shot and don't have two grants out there and.
the nice thing of it is, the
Application,
grant
both of
does, it covers everything. I mean, digging the foundations out, surface restoration, I mean, it'll be a grass lot when it's done. Everything will be cleaned up, cleared out, and the surface restored.
That'll be over.
Did she, I guess they're not difficult to get because they're fairly small in amount compared to, big projects.
we have to have an estimate on how much it costs to tear that down.
It'll go out for bid. When you get the grant, I mean,
Oh, okay,
it'll go out,
okay.
there'll be a
I
notification
mean, grant
process.
people don't want to know that
No,
prior to asking for the grant.
The grant will be a certain set amount and then you go put it out for bids and then you'll go from there. Arcadia just got one, they're getting ready to tear one down on Main Street. So they were awarded a grant for one house that they applied for. So I know the money's out there, I know there's grants available to do that type of work, so we just need to get this legal action and whatever we need to do, notification done, so we can move forward with the grant process and getting an application in for demoing both houses at once. I'm hoping we can do
it's
it.
already been condemned by the health department.
Well, I'm hoping that we can do them both on the same grant, being that we own that one and bought it through tax sale, and this one here's a total different, it's a different critter down here, it's basically being condemned in the property owner, so I'm hoping, depending on what the legalities are as to what we gotta do, whether we gotta become ownership of that to be eligible for the grant, or what.
I can tell you this, there was no response to the health department when they condemned it.
Yeah, I don't know what you do to move forward to tear it down, but that's part of what we need to find out. We need to notify them and do that process and get that part of it out of the way and then find out what we gotta do for the grant app. The house needs to go before it gets somebody hurt down there, this one too. We need to start either looking towards that grant or else looking towards just finding the money to tear this one down that we do own and get it out of there, it's an eyesore, health hazard, and it needs to come down.
Now, the hearing, would that be, the homeowner would have to come before the board and,
Yes, notify them and then come and tell us what they wanna do with the intentions of either repairing it or else saying, we ain't messing with it, do whatever. So basically, that'd be where you're at, and then that'd be a legal hearing.
Or if they don't show up.
Or we could have a notarized letter of intent, I suppose, we probably, if you don't wanna come to the meeting.
They either have to come, if they have to.
we
They have to show.
Yeah, if they're
Well,
ordered
I
to
mean, they don't
appear.
have to, but if they don't, then that's,
Yeah, it's a default judgment against them.
yeah.
I see, okay.
So after it's all said and done, they end up with a nice pretty lot and they haven't had to lift a finger?
No, the lot's ours.
The lot's ours,
Yeah.
okay,
We-
okay,
Yeah. Put a lien on it, foreclose on it.
okay,
That's how that happens, so they'd have to pay us all the money back for tearing it down and cleaning it up.
gotcha, all right,
Or the lot would become the town's.
all right. That makes sense.
Speaking of buildings, I'll take this question to you. Down on South Central, I can't remember his name.
The caved in barn,
Yeah, is that on the county or is that on us?
it's on us, we could go through the process there to make them tear it down.
Phil's Fix It, is that who?
No, on down, no, that's Walker's, that's not
I
his.
thought that was in between the,
No, That's
Belongs to
Walker's.
Walker's,
Yep.
does it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that property line's about 8 feet off the side of Phil's house.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Walker's building.
Yeah, that's a mess.
It's gotten bad, I mean, not that it was great before, but it's really,
Yeah, it's caved in.
it really took the dive over the winter.
Yeah.
See, supposedly, and I don't know, that's what I heard, but all the panels, whatever those panels
Yeah,
are,
those orange panels?
it's all plywood and stuff from the school. That's supposed to be to fix that garage.
I see.
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we serve him notice on that it's gotta be taken care of, or else it's gonna be coming in, condemn
Okay.
that those neighbors down in that neighborhood has put up with a lot of trash and problems down there, and they've been up and complained. We just had a lady complain 6 months or so ago about things down around there, around the Earth Festival time. So we need to do something with that, cause that's,
You're right.
I think it's beyond repair myself. I know what I'm talking about, the roof coming.
Yeah.
But
No, I know. I'll send him a letter.
But if he has-
Get with Murray. But
he has some type
take care
of plans to do it, it's gonna have to meet building code and everything else. So if
Right.
it don't, then that still ain't gonna fly.
I know when Murray
Yeah.
went down and, talked to, I call him Phil, I don't know his name, Phil.
Phil,
But anyway, he did clean that place up considerably from what it was. But now it's gradually going back into bad shape again, and there's a lot of trash, man, there's a lot of trash stuff.
You kinda clean the front up and hold some more around the back, out of sight, out of mind, and it's in town right away.
Yeah,
That's
See,
town
there's an
easement
alley
back
behind
there.
there.
yeah, that's what you said.
That's joking
So-
about. The sewer's back there. There's a manhole back there in that backyard.
Well, I just think it stinks, it's a safety thing, cause of rodents.
Well,
And I'm
neighbors
like,
shouldn't
no,
have-
I know a lot of
neighbors
people
shouldn't have
out
to
there
deal with
that talked to me, said they're fed up with it. And, you know, people don't wanna invest thousands of dollars in their own property when you got an eyesore like that right across the street.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, that's been an ongoing issue too for, I don't know how long. We've had the police down there before, we had the code enforcement and everything, you know. And
at
it's
least
getting-
4
We've been to
years.
court. We've been to court on that.
You know, so this went as far as court, so I don't know what else we can do, just do it again, cite it again until it gets cleaned up or done something. So we need to take care of, you know, the complaints of neighbors down there have got legitimate complaints and nothing's being done properly. There's been some things done, but it ain't been done right and followed up on.
Well, John made a motion, do I hear a second?
I say,
In favor?
Aye.
All right. Any other old business tonight? We'll move on to new business. On the floor?
Yep.
Matt?
Figured I was here for a reason, didn't you?
You don't normally come?
I don't, I stay quiet and stick to
What can-
myself over
What can we
there.
do for you?
Well, you know, my wife and I ourselves, of course, we got the stop sign down there by the house. I understand it's the only one there. My wife, every morning, of course, I'm already at work, she watches a blue station wagon blow out a stop sign about 50 miles an hour. And I caught him one day doing it. I watched him. We've called the sheriff's department about 5 or 6 different times. And I've given them a specific time, letting them know, hey, look. Because when we first went to no police officer here in town and went to the sheriff's department, they actually had a county cop sitting right across from DJ Cowan's house in that driveway there,
watching this stuff.
watching the stop sign. And that's all cool. I think they did it to make a good impression at first. But we feel that they've backed off a little bit. And I've called them about 5 or 6 times. I understand I'm not perfect. You know, I'm not saying that. But 40 or 50 mile an hour, we're talking close to when kids are standing at the bus stop.
The buses just went through.
Yeah, I
And
mean, the
buses
buses are
still
just
on.
went through or whatever, but it's becoming a major issue and we're not getting any response.
Do you,
She-
you said you talked to the guy yourself?
No, we
No,
talked,
he just-
now, I was home one day and I seen him go through.
Okay,
And I instantly, right then and there, I called the county and I told him, here's the deal. This was like the 3rd time I called, because this time I actually seen him. And I give him a specific time. I said, you know, this guy that's been doing it is the main culprit down our road. Everybody else is usually pretty decent. But this one guy, every morning, is blowing that stop sign.
can you get a plate number
There's
off
a
of
lot
it?
of cars that goes through that stop sign.
There is.
you know.
I'm gonna
It's not too
have
fast.
to take a day off and pretty much get on his butt. That's how fast he's going. I mean, when I seen
What time of day is it?
In between 7 and 7:20.
I'd say if a person could be there at 7 and just waiting for him, because it's starting to
Usually
get a
Monday
little-
through Friday?
Usually, not
Yeah.
every single day. Usually.
Is he going north or south?
He's headed south.
So
They
he's coming
never-
off of County Line Road and,
So he's coming from somewhere up on.
I got the
north
same
end.
problem you got, I live a little farther on down than you do.
Yeah.
The time to get to my house, which is a stop sign out here as well, man, I mean, they're just flying. Already had a dog killed out in the road, you know. And
Well,
I'm
that's
just
not
surprised that
terrified.
a child,
I
there's a
have
lot
an
of kids
in-home
around there.
daycare, and so does my neighbor, and I'm terrified that somebody's gonna go up front and, you know, I mean, kids are fast, they're quick.
and I'm terrified that something's gonna happen. And then last night, I guess patrol is just our question. Last night, me, my mother-in-law, I had my dog, her dog, both my kids. One was in a stroller, one was on a bike. We were right here in front of the library, down a little ways, but on that road. And somebody came through. He was an older gentleman too. He came through, and I heard the car coming, so I looked back to see where he was. And by the time I looked back, he was right behind us and not slowing down. And I let go of my dog because I was trying to get my kid, and my kid was on a bike. So, you know, I'm terrified. I'm trying to get him off the road without hurting him. And the gentleman comes by and he hollers and says, you know, walking in the middle of the road probably isn't the smartest idea. And it's just these things are generally happening, and I feel like they're potentially getting worse and worse and worse because I hardly ever see any police officers in town. I see them during the day, and I know I'm not in town all day, so they could just not be on my road or I'm not noticing them, but I feel like they're not patrolling when people are home. I feel like they're here earlier in the day or earlier in the evening when nobody's around, so of course there aren't going to be anything going on or anything to happen. And I see so many people flying down so many different roads, blowing every stop sign in town, it seems like, and I'm scared to walk my children around town now because I'm terrified we're going to get hit if people know that there's nothing going to happen to them because there aren't any police officers in town.
Our biggest deal is, you know, I mean, which it has been this way for years. That's why the stop sign was put up. Everybody remembers that. I was the one who had it put up because I was the one that was complaining. We're a super highway between 19 and County Line. Everybody knows that. I've done my fair share of speeding down there. Usually it's when my mom's horses get out, and I'm getting there before they get somebody killed because they usually head straight towards County Line. You know, and I'm not saying I'm no perfect angel, but it's getting to be ridiculous. I mean, it really is. And somebody's gonna get killed or hurt.
Yeah, I agree with you, and Central is, when they're coming off 19, Central is just nothing more than a thoroughway. People are gonna go down here on County Line Road, and they usually go out east, the majority of them do.
And we're not coming up here to cause a big ruckus, we just wanna know who needs to say something to the county about this, because we've called, we're not getting any response, and it's getting frustrating because we've given them times, and we're not seeing any response, and we've told them, you know, there's a reason our road is the way it is, because it is you know, it's a quick getaway from 19 to County Line. So people use it like crazy.
I can sit in my kitchen and look right down there, and I can swear there's probably 3 out of 7 cars, if I'm sitting there for a half hour, brings that stop sign. It's not just this one. I see it all day long when I'm sitting.
Rolling stops.
Yeah. You know what, for 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, please say slow down.
Just a blatant,
Like,
right through.
yeah, like it's
Yeah.
not even there.
Right.
Yeah,
They would do the same on Indiana, so come flying around.
And there's people that walk their dogs down our street, you know, just because our street's on the edge of town, we have people that walk our street all the time. People, you know, people like to walk our street to make a big loop around town. And
My thing is just what do we need to do something else? Is there, I mean,
Actually, I think Central gets more traffic than any one street in the corporation, I really do.
I'm sure.
And not just through autos, but a lot of kids, school bus, people walking, elderly people out enjoying the weather. And you know, there's just a few sidewalks there for people to take advantage of, but you get farther up on the south side, and there's no sidewalks, and people are walking on the edge of the road. And so, you know, that complicates.
And this is a small town.
Yeah.
There's no reason we can't. I mean, you know, everybody ought to get along. Everybody always done all the same thing. You know, it's a small town. We have speed limits for a reason. I'm not saying that I've never broken them, but we've got speed limits for a reason. You know, but there's no reason that people can't use the road to walk on or walk their dogs or bicycle on or whatnot. That's not what we're complaining about. It's just a lack of, you know,
Respect.
a lack of respect from, honestly, the police department. I'm sorry, but we as a town, as a community, pay you X amount of dollars a year. We expect some response. I understand we're the furthest north point of Hamilton County, and it might be an inconvenience because you're in Cicero. But take 5 minutes and drive up here, or say, hey, yep, they've given me a time, let's try to have somebody there this week. Because what's it gonna hurt? They're not that busy. Trust me, I seen them in Cicero in the middle of the night when I'm bypassing, sitting at speedways talking to Cicero cops. I see it.
Or in the school parking lot.
Or in the school parking lots, sitting there talking to the Cicero cops. You're 5 minutes away from Atlanta. Go up there and do an evening patrol through the whole town. Not
And
gonna
that,
hurt.
we'll make a phone call to the sheriff's department
We would appreciate it.
tomorrow, and, hopefully see some action.
You know, in Walnut, you guys still need to do something about the speed limit, or we need to take signs down and switch it back.
We'll put that sign up
It's 30, south of Main Street.
on the books, isn't it?
Yep.
It's like Indiana, it should be 20 all the way through instead of changing to 30.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with the speed limit on Central, you know, speed limit.
It's just the cars going the
It's just
speed
the cars
limit.
going the speed limit.
What's that?
What do we have to do? Obviously, an ordinance change, I'm sure, on Walnut, and then, also on Indiana over here. I know it's 20 on the south end, and then it's
Then 30.
30 from Main Street north.
Actually, it's from, what's the street right by the trailers? From there north.
Or, yeah.
It should be 20 all the way.
Make all the streets in town 20.
Honestly, we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make them 23.
Get
Get your attention.
Well, there's still a case pending in the Indiana Supreme Court about what towns can do as far as changing their ordinances relative to the state statute, so Aaron and I would have to look into what that's about. Yeah.
Can you do that, so we can?
Yeah.
We can look at it.
But I don't know when it'll be heard, but we have what we call an amicus brief, a non-party brief on behalf of the towns that we represent,
Okay.
advocating for the towns to be able to make those changes, so we'll see.
You know, if you make them all 10, people will do 20.
In Hamilton County, speed signs are just a suggestion. Yeah.
Any other new business tonight? Roberta?
I don't know, Emily's not gonna come here, but representing the Friends of the Library, okay? The last weekend in August, they're going to have their centennial celebration for the library building, 100 years.
Okay.
And so the Friends of the Library, they're having the open house down at the library, and they're gonna have games for the kids and things like that. And that leads up, and then they're having a barbershop quartet singing in, and then they're having the Women's League from the county sing. And then that leads up to if you approve it, the closing Main Street for the pie and ice cream social and street dance that evening then. And then on Sunday afternoon, starting at 2 o'clock, we're having the county historian do a speaker down at the library at 2 o'clock. And I don't know, there'll probably be some other important guests if they can find time to show up for Atlanta. And then at 3 o'clock, the church is having the Common Ground Bluegrass gospel group sing down here to church at 3. And then starting at 4 until they run out of, the ladies of the church is going to do a chicken and noodle donation dinner. And so that's our celebration for the library, and they're gonna work the bicentennial in on it too.
What date is that?
The 27th and 28th
Of
of August.
August.
Yeah,
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, yeah.
Obviously,
But the plans are going, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
they're,
street closure would just be on Saturday. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
Saturday evening?
yeah,
Is that just up here where it normally is?
yeah, Mike
Okay.
Bealsley.
And the church is not planning on doing anything outside, it's all gonna be inside the
It's
church?
gonna be inside, yeah. It'll probably be hot and raining and. Especially raining. Yeah. Might as well say it.
Yeah. Maybe it won't, right?
Yeah, the more you talk about it, the less it happens.
There you go.
motion that we approve the closing of the street on the
I
27th?
motion we approve the closing of the street on Saturday.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Got that?
There
I
you
need
go.
that job for.
Yeah. You might remind us
Okay.
in August,
In August.
July.
Good try, yeah.
June.
Alright, any other business?
Were there any decisions we needed to make based on the executive session discussions?
No,
No? Okay.
Yeah.
still gathering information and so.
I just got a hold of Ryan, he's moving that trailer up here. You'll have that speeding trailer up here, and he's gonna relay the message to the officers.
Good.
So they will have that trailer set back up here on Central Avenue.
Thank you, John.
Very good.
Put a speed bump across there.
Don't even suggest that.
I'm gonna put stop strips out there, and everybody pulls up, is gonna have flat tires. If they can go 40 mile an hour after that, they deserve to.
I'd consider maybe a bucket of nails, just for that one guy.
Jack rocks, they
Some
stick out there on
tags.
tires easier.
Do I hear a motion that we sign the claims and adjourn the meeting?
I motion we sign the claims, adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second
All
that.
in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.